Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's show, and we are going to try and cover and look at really the limitations, I think, and in particular, invisible limits is what I've titled this. And I think people will ask, what is these invisible limits? And the biggest limits I think that we have in life are the ones that we can't see. They're not tangible things that hold us back. They're things that sometimes we often probably just accept as normal, but are they really? And you'll be asking, what do you mean by that? What are invisible limits? And the things that hold us back that are invisible it could be people's beliefs, your habits, and that's not always good habits. People's bad habits could hold them back as well. And a lot of the time, assumptions, Jim, we talk about this a lot, making assumptions about things can be quite detrimental, and everyone does it. And it could really quietly in the background put a cap on your success, your ability to generate income and build wealth ultimately. I'm sure over the years you've seen a lot of people have these invisible limits hold them back, Jim.
All the time. Yeah, see it all the time. Especially when you speak to landlord investors. They actually just think it's like, oh, I'll just have one or two just now, and that'll do me. And you kind of think, I could see this bigger picture easily. Yeah. I understand completely how this works. What is it I'm not conveying to you that, and it's no translating in your mind about this is unlimited. You could invest in property almost unlimitedly and make an unlimited amount of income off it over a compounding period of time. And a lot of people just don't get it. And then it does come back to beliefs, doesn't it? Yeah. It comes back to then, and I always say this as well, is it's not the fact that you don't believe it's possible. You just don't think it's possible for you.
So it's your self-belief then, the belief that you could do something, yeah.
Self-belief, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's all about self-belief. And is that a product of how we've been brought up? Is that a product of how our peer group was round about us? What they told you was possible? What they told you was probably impossible? Because I've come to the conclusion that nothing is impossible.
Yeah, well, I think you're quite right there. You just need to have the right attitude to be able to execute whatever you want to do.
Yeah, and for everybody, your journey is going to be completely different to another person's journey, because they don't have your experience or inexperience, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most important thing about the invisible limits that we place upon ourselves. And I've talked about it, and just give people an introduction into this again, because I can't emphasize this enough, is how do you train a flea in the circus to jump only so high? And what it is they put the flea in a jar, they put the lid on, and the flea keeps hitting its head all the time. Now, a flea can jump huge, like 3 feet or even more, maybe meters, to be honest, 2 or 3 meters. But what happens is it keeps hitting its head at 6 inches when you put it in a jar, and eventually it just works out how to, just jump below a micron below the lid, so it doesn't hurt its head all the time. Because I'm getting sick of this. I'm hurting my head. See the stress thing and all the rest of it. I'm getting sick of this, and that's how it relates to us. As the stress at whatever we do creates, then it limits us based on that. And because then when they take the lid off, the flea doesn't jump out the jar anymore, because it still believes that that lid is there, and it'll hurt itself if it jumps so high. I'll say that again. They take the lid off, and it's just like us as human beings. They take the limits off us, because everybody's got their chance of our unlimited income. Everybody has it. And some people will still say to me right now, that's impossible. I don't have it. And it's like, that's the limiting belief you're putting on yourself. Because you do have the capacity to do it. You've probably just got to work a bit harder than everybody else to get over that hurdle in your mind. And it's that invisible limits that we've got to contend with.
The one thing, I mean, obviously the police story and that behaviour that's learned, but I also feel that you talked about the comparison thing, and that is something I see a lot. And obviously today's society with social media and things, people are just constantly comparing themselves to others. And like you say, they might be a lot more knowledgeable and have a lot more expertise at doing something. That's why they're more successful, or they might have less, or just concentrate on yourself and what you could do and where you could get to, and don't let other people influence you too much unless it's in a positive way.
I think as well, when you talk about social media, it's a lot to do with when they do look at social media, they say I'm not as successful in that area of that person's life that they're looking at, and they feel a bit worthless as a result of it. But what they fail to realize is they're probably more successful in a part of an area of their life, and that person will be looking at them saying, I'm not as successful as that person, and doing exactly the same thing as if they were like that.
Yeah. Everybody has their abilities in different areas.
Well, my superpower is probably focus and resilience and tenacity and the ability to keep going, even when the odds are against me and I'm exhausted. I can still keep going because I don't know what it is, but it's an ability I've got.
Just to keep pushing forward.
My weakness is, and I'll be honest, and a lot of people will actually go, I disagree with that, and some will go, yeah, I could see that completely, is I'm not a very good people person, like small talk and everything like that. That's an area which I have to work on to improve in, but that's so that's it. I'm an introvert, and I'm quite happy to do something on my own and build an empire, which is easier rather than having to deal with loads and loads of people.
I think that the reason people don't think that when you say that is because a lot of people that interact with you is because whether you're doing, I don't know, sales work for a sales appraisal, or whether you're very systems and process driven. So when you're explaining something and how something works, you could be there enthusiastic about it.
Yeah.
When it comes to small talk, it's different.
Yeah, definitely. However, you could drop me into a room and I could force myself into a position where I could actually easily handle it, no bother. Yeah. And that, again, there's the resilience and the consistency and tenacity to be able to do that, I would say. Yeah. So, everybody's got different superpowers in terms of what they're doing. Definitely. But there is a psychology behind this of these invisible limits. And going deeper into these internal barriers, well, you actually talk about, and you've said this before, it's about the fear of losing money and they avoid investing.
Yeah, I see a lot of investors do it because the fear that losing the money, losing them and not having the
And that's where logic comes into me about well, my wife is a classic example of that, the fear of loss, of losing money. And it was like, do you think we should buy another house to rent, or we should take money out of our own house? Here's a classic. Do you think? I think we should take money out of our own house, our own mortgage, and actually reinvest in property. And it's like, what if we lose it all? And I went, well, how could we lose it all? Because it's in property. I mean, what's the most of properties ever dropped in value? 20% in the credit crunch. Now, whether that happens again is, almost impossible, I would say. Very, very, very unlikely. There might be a correction, but it'll not be 20%. So it's like, and you're only losing it if you're selling it and realizing the asset. You've still got a tenant in the property earning money.
Yeah.
So, and paying your rent. So it's like, how would you be losing it? How could you lose it? It's not like you're going to a casino and betting on red or black and then it's all gone completely, 100%.
Yeah, it's like all in or bust.
But that's I think that's how the average person actually shows that. Most people will actually be like that. The fear losing money, therefore they don't invest. But I think it's just a lack of knowledge and understanding.
Yeah, and I think, like you say, the fear of losing money, and it's all down to, like, a lot of people. I see a lot of investors and things and I've heard of a lot of investors who have failed, And it's because they never really commit and put themselves all in. And it's that fear, and they avoid the investing, like, oh, I'll start it later. And they delay that whole wealth building process. And then, do you know, they get years down the line, it's like, you could have been this far ahead, but you've not done it yet. And
Or they reward themselves far too early.
Yeah, or they dip into.
So it's like, I've made a fortune, and then they go and spend the money, and then they realise, wait a minute, I've got to pay tax out of that.
Yeah,
I had it recently with someone. When I worked it out, it was like something like $500,000. They were possibly going to be able to get, and when I worked it all out, I says, you're going to be left with 160 grand. Oh, why? It's like, well, you've got this, that, this, that, this, that, and you got, and they went, oh. I never realised that, because they were looking at the income. They weren't looking at all the outgoings that has to come off it first, and then the tax that has to come off it as well. It's like, and then it didn't sound as attractive now, and it's like, whoa, reality check here. So it is that lack of knowledge and lack of understanding it, and it's so important to actually speak to the right people that have possibly trodden that path before and understand it completely. I would say definitely. But they do say, and this is where the invisible limits show up as well, is there's I get this quite a lot, is I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Do you know what happens about tomorrow? It never comes.
Yeah.
It never comes. Tomorrow never happens, because tomorrow becomes today, and tomorrow is the next tomorrow. So you never actually get there, and you never do it. I'll do things tomorrow. How many times have we all had something to do, like a partner or something like that, or a friend that says, mind, you've got to do that, and you don't do it. And you keep forgetting to do it, and you keep telling yourself, I'll do it tomorrow, and it's like, and you never get it done. We've all experienced that.
Yeah,
and that's what happens. That's what happens when people delay wealth building. And when you delay wealth building, what happens is you're delaying your future. Let me say that again. When you delay wealth building, you delay your future. You deny yourself of the future you've got to come, because you're delaying.
And it's true, I think, with anything, if you delay it, I'll do it the next day, or I'll do it later, and then you don't do it later. See if you just start to stop and be like, right, I'll just do it now and get it. And then you feel so much better, and it's like, right, that's done, let's move on. Rather than this continual delaying tactic. But when you talk about spending, Jim, investors and things who make money and then spend it quite quickly, that's, to me, a really inherent, financial habit that a lot of us inherit without even questioning. It's like a default thinking process where, oh, I've got money, I need to spend it. And everybody does it. Been guilty of it myself, and I'm sure you have in the past as well, Jim, before you realise the actual detrimental effect it has on what you, especially if you're trying to build wealth.
I was quite fortunate. I conditioned myself by the books I read, the people who I associate with on the way to where I am just now on my journey, and I still do that today. Podcasts, books I read, functions I attend, people more successful than me I have as possible. I mean, they're not exactly mentors, as in I know them, but I learn from them, if that makes sense. It's difficult to find someone when you're at that sort of level. It's like when you're way beyond, it's like you can't just find someone locally. It's probably at that status, that position as well, in terms of wealth anyway.
Yeah.
Because it's few and far between, so it's difficult to actually find someone to learn from. You'd be in constant contact with. So it is learning from people that are really successful after doing your research, obviously. But I think when people see an opportunity, here's a really good one about the invisible thing, the barrier that you put in. They see the opportunity, they get excited about it, they want to do something about it. They start off, and within the first 28 days, if you don't create a habit of what you're doing, then you tend just to start to forget about it, and you go back to normal life.
Yeah. Go back to what feels comfortable and safe, and
And you're all right with that because you enjoy what you're doing right now anyway. So why do you need to change abruptly or anytime soon? And that's when it comes to I'll do it tomorrow. And in some sort of way it feels safe, but it's a silent silent guarantees missing that wealth growth that you're getting, the compounding, as I said. It's the great one that we talked about before, and let's talk about this again. It's the 1 pence doubled up for 31 days. So 1 pence to 2 pence to 4 pence to 8 pence to 16 to 16 to 32 to 64 to 128 to 256. By the time you get to about 16 or something like that, you're in the thousands. But by the time you get to 31 days, you're doubling up from about 5.5 million to 11 million from 30 to 31 days.
Mm-hmm.
So my argument with this, or my facts, it's not an argument, it's not an opinion, it's facts. What I would say is, if you delay by 1 day, you're not missing out on the 1 pence doubling up to the 2 pence. You're missing out on the 5.5 doubling up to the 11 at the end. Because you've now only got 30 days left because you've delayed it by 1 day. Because there's this opinion in everybody's mind. That's why I'm saying you're delaying your future. You delay your future by doing that. So there's an opinion in everybody's mind about they're going to live forever, or they don't realize about their fragility of their life, and the fact that one day this is all going to be over. You're not going to be there. I'll still be here, by the way. But you're not going to be there, and you think you're going to live forever. And that's why you say, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow, because you feel fit and healthy and you don't have any reservations, you don't have any concerns. And that's why you avoid it. But therefore, every day you wait, then it gets worse. I was told by my father when I was younger, invest in a pension. And I went, that's boring and stuffy. I want to go out and get pissed every night and enjoy myself. I'm a teenager. It's the rest of it in a pension. But he never explained to me about the principle of compounding wealth. Because if I'd known then, I would have done it earlier.
Yeah.
If I'd known what I know now, I would have done that a lot earlier. So that's why I would tell people now, it's like that's what you should be doing when you're younger. Yeah. That's why when I go to see people and they have young children and they want to talk about their financial future, maybe when I'm selling their house or when I'm advising about renting, investing, and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
The first thing I say is, have you got kids' pensions for your kids? And like, what? Pensions, like they start at 18 years old, do they know? No, they don't. They start from birth, and you become the custodian for that, and you oversee until they hit 16, and then obviously transfers. It's under them from then on because they're responsible as adults at that age. So that compounds from the day they're born. Now think about the 31 days. If it was 31 years and they did it at 18. It would be 49 by the time they retired. But if it was from birth, they'd be retiring at 31.
See, there you go. Yeah. And a lot of people don't realise or understand that.
See that? I mean, that is powerful when you put it in that context. It's like if you'd done it from birth and it did double up every day for 31 days, you'd be retiring on 11 million at 31 years old. If you waited till you were 18 till you started a job, then you'd be retiring at 50.
Mm-hmm.
I know what one I would want.
Yeah.
And I don't mean, let's talk about retirement for a change. It's not about what stops you from retiring. Why do people not retire? It's like, and people go, well, I'm no 65 yet. Some people actually.
Your financial responsibilities.
Yeah. I'm not 65 yet. That's what quite a lot of people say. The government told me it's 67 now, so it's retirement at 67. And it's like, no, it isn't. The only thing that stops you from retiring is the ability to actually for the income.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've got the income sussed out, you can retire anytime you want. And retirement's not about giving up your job. What I mean by retirement is actually doing something you love. And if you love your job, why would you give it up then?
Mm-hmm.
You need purpose in life. So why would you give it up? But wouldn't it be great? You've got the choice to do what you want to do, when you want to do it, at any point in time. And no one has control of you anymore. Because most people control you by your financial circumstances.
And that would appeal to, I would imagine, most people. But then a lot of people, everybody it should appeal to everybody. But a lot of people won't. I'll think to themselves, I can't do that. I'll not be able to do that.
again, it comes back to self-belief, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But that's why it's so important about watching the right, listening to the right podcast, watching the right podcast as well. Having the right association with the right people. You get like the people you associate with, by the way. So it's the collection of the 5 people round about you. The people you associate with are the people that will collect it. I could probably tell you where you're going to end up. If you show me the 5 people you associate with the most, I could probably tell you where you'll be by the time you retire, and I'll be right. I could definitely tell you that. That's what most people don't understand. Now, it's not my opinion, it's facts. It's just
that, yeah.
It's psychology. It's how things work. It's how the way the world works, how humans work, and how human behaviors are as well. And that's what it is. So people don't realize that wealth isn't what you think it is.
I think automatically,
most people, what is it? What we talk about all the time. Everybody talks about wealth as an income. I'm rich because I've got loads of money coming in.
People think about wealth, they think about money, like money in your pocket type thing.
No, it's not. Wealth isn't about what you're earning. It's about what you keep.
Mm-hmm. It's about the assets.
It's what you've got.
Mm-hmm.
It's also your health. It's also your relationships with other people. And I would argue that's probably more important. Because when you get to later on in life, the thing that actually, and I know that with the research has been done, and most people are beginning to realise this now with the research that's getting punted out there, is the fact that the research actually proves beyond a shadow of a doubt, is the connections you have with other people when you get older that actually keep your brain functioning and you going. Purpose.
Yeah, purpose. You've got that sense of purpose, and people that rely or depend on you or look to you for, and that gives you that purpose. Without that, I mean, you hear a lot of people retire and they just kind of wither away.
So when you look at it on a context of assets, people that you associate with and people that you have a social life with are an asset to you, really, because they produce some kind of benefit. Just like you have property produces money, income.
Yeah.
So the property is the asset, and the it's what it produces. It's the ownership of the asset that actually produces the income overall, or whatever it is you're after. The body and the health and the running you've all done, and the exercise and all the rest of it you've done to keep and the eating and the right diet and all the rest of it you've done to your body. Your body is the asset, but the income you get out of that is the well-being of you being healthier later on in life, and not actually your health degrading, but your health still maintaining.
Which then in turn give you a different lifestyle and things as well.
Yeah. So let's say, and you've got it nicely put here, income is effort-based. It's what you do. The wealth that you generate, the wealth that you have, is the asset that you get it from. That's probably the most important thing. Is this connection being made now in most people's minds?
Mm-hmm. And I mean, we talk about assets. I mean, it doesn't. We talk a lot about property. It doesn't have to be property. You've got stocks. You've got property. You've got a business set up. So something that generates income without your direct input all the time, or you having to put the effort in and it evolving around you.
We say a phrase. It's funny that, but there's nothing funny about this. In all honesty, when you talk about stocks, I think about low-cost index funds because they're easy. Vanguard, S&P 500. And I will say Vanguard, it's the biggest and probably one of the biggest investment funds in the world. And everybody goes, and they talk about BlackRock and everything like that, and they're the enemy and everything like that. No, they actually produce low-cost index funds, which actually don't take a lot of administration costs from you. Therefore, you've got more money that you invest actually stays into your pot and compounds over a long term. And that's what we talk about. That's what I think about when I do stocks. Property as well is another one. You have to get the numbers right in order to get the property done right as well. And the business generates income without direct effort. Now, I've got all three.
Yeah.
When you think about the logic of that, the stocks is my pension. The property is the fund that we run as a family fund with the rest of my family. And the business is the one that we generate with the lettings and the sales divisions, and Fife Properties. That's what we are doing. Someone earning, you got a nice written here. Someone earning an average income but investing consistently, believe it or not, can actually outperform a high earner income who doesn't actually invest at all.
You talked about this when you refer back to your early years of your journey and things, and you worked obviously, and then you had your building your portfolio at the side. And because you done it that way, your portfolio then eventually surpassed what your income was. But a lot of people probably around you that maybe thought they were probably higher earners and more successful, but in actual fact they weren't, because you had other things going on, and like you say, actually surpassed what you could even make in any job. And I mean, you were a financial director and things at the time, so and you
I would still be working, Richard. I mean, I'm not really working today, am I? Because I'm doing something I love. So it's not really work when you love what you do. And I always say to someone, in order to know what you love, what you do, would you do it for nothing? I mean, if money wasn't an issue and you were doing what you were doing right now, would you actually do it for nothing? And the answer to that is yes, I would. And I've always thought about that, about what I've done, even in my jobs in manufacturing. It's like, God Almighty, I'm so lucky to do this. I would do this for nothing. Never told my bosses that. Just, but it's like I was like, this is good. It's like people say I'm blessed, and it's like I've been blessed all my bloody life. It's like I can't believe it. And that's the sort of thing. So when you think about it, if I was just a standalone employee, just never investing, I would still be working all the time, and I might be in a job that I wouldn't like because I have to do it. I always say it's like being on the hamster wheel. You're on the hamster wheel, but I've been able to get off the hamster wheel and jump on whenever I want. I've just actually manufactured my own hamster wheel, actually, so I can use it whenever I want. And if I don't want to use it, I'm not going to do that. Or I've actually just created a treadmill. You know, it's like I'll just go on the treadmill when I want, and I'm not really in a hamster wheel anymore. I don't need to do the home to work routine anymore. I can just actually sit on the beach for the rest of my life and drink pina coladas. Yeah. Do I want to? No. It's great.
But you've got that option.
Yeah. It changes your mind completely, and the fact that you know that you could do that. And this is what my journey was all about. It was like, oh, these rewards that you can get later on. But every time I got to that reward, I just loved the fact I was able to get that reward, but I wouldn't get it. Because then I realized if I got that reward, then the amount of income it would take to get that reward would actually delay my financial future and my freedom. So I just forego it. I just delayed gratification every single time. So these new cars that I wanted, that maybe a bigger house I wanted, that Huracan, a Lamborghini Huracan, you know, whatever, all these different things I wanted. It's like, when I got there, it was like, nah, don't want it, because I know it's going to cost me more money in the long run. And I don't see the point of that. And for me, it was all about, and some people will actually go, but you're nuts. I mean, you've got everything you wanted, so why would you not just go and enjoy it? Because you'll never ever run out. And they would do that, but it's like, but what about my kids? It's like, it's for them as well. So they never need to be like in that position. They don't have to go through what I had to go through. And you could say, well, that'll create weak characters because they're just being given something. But they've not really been given it. They've been taught how to invest and understand how compounding works over a period of time by seeing me, and I'll do it. And also some of them, you know, Tony works in the business as well. Yeah. And does the numbers and overseas, and she sees it straight away. She understands it completely straight away. She's committed.
Oh, she's got a brilliant grasp on it, yeah.
Yeah. And Ben and Scott do the same in their own thing. They work a job and they invest, and they've always invested, and invest in their pension funds and stuff like that, and other areas as well. So they understand that as well. Yeah, you know. I mean, when I was their age, God, I was still getting mortal, you know, steaming. I was still getting down the pub. It's like, hey, live for the weekend. It's like, that's what I was like at that age. It was like, you know, but them, they've got level-headed completely. And so it's interesting to see that where that works.
So it's interesting you talk about the hamster wheel and things. And that the next section I was going to talk about was, you know, like the framework of wealth and you know, breaking the normal cycle and actually, do you know, like you say, getting off that hamster wheel, as we'll call it metaphorically. Do you know, is it a simple and kind of repeatable system to get out of that? Do you know things that you implement to do that?
Yeah, it is. Now, it takes hard work, let's be honest.
Yeah.
And everybody goes on about it's working smart and all the rest of it, but it's called graft and hard work. But it's actually doing it in the right way. It's a bit smarter than you think. And when we talk about things like the simple, repeatable system, we talk about, well, there's 4 different areas. The first one is earning. So what I did was I went back to college. I got my HND in accountancy. Then I went for the professionals and certified accountants. But at the same time, I got a job as a trainee accountant in manufacturing. And then I was there for about a year. And then I was able to move on to another job. It paid me more money and gave me more experience, because I got loads of experience where I was in that year. And I did a lot for them and actually made their systems more efficient. But this was because of everything I'd done before. I went totally geeky about IT and computers and systems and everything like that. And I learned everything before I even got involved in accountancy. Mm-hmm. It's like, that's how I became. And so I looked into it all, and I studied it all, and I looked at programming and stuff like that as well. So I understood how things work. So I was able to take that knowledge and expertise. So I was learning something outside of my normal day-to-day job. So that was able to help me, and that allowed me to get a better job in another company. So therefore, I got an upgrade to a supervisor, a bit more money, a better job, and again, more experience. And I did the same there as well. And then I started to deal with the financial director at that time, or was it the financial controller? I can't remember, Chris Parr. And I started to deal with him, and I was doing some of his work and helping him out, and we were helping make things more efficient. Again, systems, it all came down to, and the way things were done. It's kind of like I was an AI at that time. It's like, how do I do this more efficiently? And I was like, yeah, I know how to do that. It's kind of like that. I was the human version of AI at that time for people. How do I do this, and how do I do
streamline things and make things more efficient
and make it work. And that's the type of things I actually concentrated on, and I still do that today, actually. And that then allowed me, within, I think it was about 4 years I was at Tillis Russell, and then I jumped to a financial controller's job, in charge as part of the management team, in charge of a ceramics company, which was double the salary. But see, everything I'd learned on the way, and everything I continued to learn in the continuous education, added more and more value to what I do for other people. Therefore, I was more attractive proposition for other companies who said, yeah, we're happy to pay you that.
Yeah.
Because you added value. You'll add value to what we are doing. And we could see that straight away by the evidence that you've shown us about how you solved things, how you did things, and how you communicated stuff. And that's how I did that from there. And then I was, I had obviously got significantly more, but we lived within our means within that time. We didn't actually, let's go.
Although you had this higher salary,
I've got like triple the salary within, I don't know, about a 5-6 year period. So I tripled my salary within a 6-year period, and a company car. So I didn't need to have a car anymore. And but we had kept to the same sort of level of expenditure in our life, almost the same house, same mortgage, same value, same bills, same council tax or whatever it was at the time, rates on your house. So, and our spending was the same, because we had come from we came from the background where we had stony broke, we had nothing. Like we're raking the ashtrays to get dope so we can get some tobacco so we could roll them up and smoke them, because we had no money for cigarettes.
Yeah.
That's the background I came from when we first started, homeless, unemployed territory. So that ethos stuck with us. And you could say, oh, well, you should teach your kids that. No, well, I don't want to be homeless, unemployed and go through that rigmarole. They don't need to do that. They can just learn. Learn faster by standing on my shoulders, and standing on the shoulders of giants that came before you. That's all everybody does. It's successful. And I did the same thing. I studied everybody else, and I took on board what they did, and I maybe did fractionally better, and that's what allowed me to accelerate my income as well. And then it was about, as we'd said, I definitely allocated. That was the second one. I started allocating money from my job to buying property at that time. But Elaine got offered redundancy, and it was 3 times her salary, and it was like cha-ching, because I know I could invest that and buy more houses, and I know how much it'll make. So Elaine, you could actually just walk away for your job, and you can go now, and I could replace your income, and you actually don't need to do anything for it.
Yeah. And that was basically an early retirement for her.
Yeah, and then we were able to have a bigger family as a result. So it's it was not just spending; it was really investing, I would say.
Yeah.
And then because we had acquired, and I had acquired assets, it was the third one was about growing them. So investing in appreciating assets, doing them up, refurbishing them, getting better quality tenants, all the rest of it, and letting that compounding work in the background for that reason. And then this was at the mid-90s to just before the credit crunch, and it was like, wow, the properties I'd bought had appreciated like 3 and 4 times within a short period of time. I was able to release money and then reinvest that again and build momentum. So that's the one I would talk about, the fourth one we talk about. So it's earn, allocate, grow, and then multiply. So then I was able to then multiply the returns by investing more property at good fixed rate and tracker deals, which were, I mean, the deals were like lifetime trackers at base plus 0.99% for life. It's like, my God, who wouldn't want that? Base plus 0.49% I got at one of them. Base plus 1% for life. Not just 5 years or 2 years, for life. And I was never wanting to get rid of these mortgages. But I was able to release more and invested more as a result. And then the credit crunch came along and I just went quiet. I stopped acquisition. But I did sell some and I actually paid capital gains and the rest of it. But I released a lot of capital and then invested that somewhere else as well.
Yeah.
I didn't run and spend it. I invested it in our own house, so we had a better standard of living, and invested it in buying a property abroad just for our own purposes.
Yeah.
And that was the start of that, the wealth building and that discipline of the allocation and doing it all the time, not just an occasional thing. Just consistently applying
just
that.
What I say, you're consistently doing that, and what really jumps out to me when you're obviously relaying that is that over time, how that benefited your lifestyle and your quality of life. Like you say, you improved your home, you bought another home overseas, and things like that. But it took time to get there. You weren't just spending us throughout, or you would never have got to where you were.
I wouldn't say I made one mistake out of that, buying the home overseas, but I did actually buy it as to do a serviced accommodation, what you'd call it now.
Yeah.
At that time, 20 years ago, because the serviced accommodation never existed, and I bought it for that reason. And then when I saw it, I thought, I'm just going to keep this for myself.
Just got to use it. But you still use it to this day.
Yeah. And that was it, really. So that's probably the one I'll talk about. That's kind of the framework you'd want out of that. And that is easy if you have the discipline to do it. It's not easy if you don't have discipline, I think. And so it's expanding that income to fuel investment. So as you get more in, that's why I keep saying to people, I'm 30 years in and I still don't really take any money out of the investment companies. I don't take anything out. No admin costs or anything like that. I just keep investing it in all the time to keep compounding. Because I kind of think it's kind of like your, because when I've got enough, I don't need any more. So when you've got enough and you live a modest lifestyle, I mean, I've got my clothes are like about 10-year-old, the things I wear. It's like, they're faded and everything. It's like, and everybody goes, why would you want nice clothes? I would do that and all this. I says, I couldn't care less. It doesn't do anything for me to do that. And maybe someone else would want that, but for me, it's like, no, because then my kids will have a better future as a result, and I'll never need to worry about them. I mean, I'll be dead, possibly. Might not possibly.
Long time, yeah.
The way things are going. The way science is going, anyway. But they'll have a better quality of life. Because everybody keeps saying it. It's all in the news all the time. It's like, the kids can't get on the housing ladder nowadays. They can't do anything. They can't do anything nowadays. All the rest of these different things. they'll never achieve anything because they've not got the means, and the cost of living's killing us and all the rest of it, and cost of living all the time. They never need to worry about the cost of living. And I think for me, that's the peace of mind I would always
Which is a big thing, yeah, of course. There's a lot of people in the world that, I mean, it's having a profound effect on. And that's obviously the way of the world, but because of what you've built.
So the income fuels the investment, and the income is the engine, and the investment is the multiplier, the asset.
Yeah.
Assets multiply, increase in value, if you get it done right. And the income is the engine that runs it all, as a result. Like cash flow, it comes in.
Always like the analogy of comparing it to a machine or an engine, because if you get all the input and things right and all the parts right, it will work like a machine or an engine.
Definitely, yeah. And so I would, when you look at the logic of all this, the ways to expand your income, as I said before, is the skill stacking, increase your value in whatever you do is your job. The side hustles that you have, the scalable. You've got scalable digital service and service where you work. So if you want to do a wee bit more, you want to do a wee bit extra, you get overtime for your employer. You could just stick all that overtime money in a fund and just let that accumulate, and actually not say, oh, I'm doing overtime, I'm getting more money, so I'm going to get a bigger house, I'm going to get a bigger holiday, I'm going to get big.
Yeah, you get a wage increase. It's like, what do you do with that? Don't just spend it. Do you know, invest it?
The one thing I couldn't stand working in industry, it's when the Xerox people used to come in and try to flog you a copier.
A printer, yeah.
Copier, yeah. So they try to sell you a Xerox copier, which was a photocopier, and then how they sold it to you was, we'll put it in your office for free, but you'll pay us 1 pence for every copy that you print. And to me, that's like, wait a minute, that's like being a landlord.
Yeah.
I've got the asset, I'll rent it to you, and then that's the price you pay me every single time. And it's like, that works for me. But for me doing it, no, I don't want to do that at all. I'll buy the thing if I want it. So I always used to say to these people, I never ever.
You always want to be in control of the asset.
I always went, no, I'll just buy a laser printer and I'll do it that way. Or I'll buy an inkjet and I'll do it that way, because we don't produce enough. But most people that didn't understand that model would commit to a financial cost, because you're committed to a contract for 3 years.
And then you've got that overhead all the time.
Yeah, and there's a minimum amount typically they put on it. So it's got to be 200 quid a month at minimum that you've got to use. So you're paying that whether you like it or not. To me, that's a fixed cost. That's like your own personal contract for buying a car, which I'm not a fan of either. I'm all right in a business because it's tax deductible.
Right, it's different, yeah.
I'm not all right in a personal, because it's then another committed cost. Mortgages even kind of rub me up the wrong way as such. On personally,
people might think that's strange to hear coming from you, but on a personal level.
Personally, because unless they're fixed, you've got no control over them. They'll go up and down based on what the rates are at the time. So you have to get really good deals when you get into a mortgage and pick your right moments to do that. So I think that's another thing you've got to think about. But as I said, it's like everything you make, you've two choices: are you spending it or you investing it to grow repeatedly? And you spend it, then you're delaying your future if you're wanting to be financially free. And every time you spend something, you delay your future, your financial future, if that's what you really want to be. So if you've spent all your life and you get to 65 or 67 and retire and say, I've not really got much left, it's no fair, how did the government do this to me? I'm sorry, it's your own fault.
You've only got yourself to blame.
Yeah, it's only yourself to blame. It's like you are where you are for the decisions that you've made or the decisions that you've allowed someone else to make.
And people there might be an argument here about, like, well, I don't have a property portfolio, I don't have this, I don't have that. And it's like, well, set up. I mean, even if you've got a private pension set up or even a workplace pension, if you're getting a pay rise and you've got that wee bit extra, put that straight into there rather than spending it. And then at least it's going somewhere and it's going to use.
Well, this is where it comes to the simple path of doing things, which is what I'm doing. I'm simplistic, and when it gets down to it, easiest. Water finds the easiest way. Let's just say that. So when you look at it, the things that you would simple, and now this is just my personal opinion. Remember, We are not financial advisors, but my personal opinion, my journey,
And
and
experience,
that's all I'll talk about from my own personal experience and what I did. Simple index funds diversify over the long term. So I'm talking about Standard & Poor's 500. I'm talking about FTSE 100 index fund, and blue chip stocks, and just sticking with it. Warren Buffett talks about that all the time, thinks it's a great investment, like Bank of America, like Geico, which is the insurance company, and other things like McDonald's, Coca-Cola.
So these companies are not going anywhere.
Heavily invested, yeah. They just need to put a penny on the price of a can of Coke, and you've got profit straight to the bottom line, and that's only a penny on the can of Coke. And nobody ever sees that because you're selling to millions.
Yeah.
So they'll never see that, but it transfers to millions on the bottom line. So index funds are really good. Stocks, ownership of companies. Yeah, okay. You could probably own your own company.
Know what you're doing with it.
Yeah, definitely. Stocks. You need to know, and the difficulty is you go to people, speak to people, and they charge you a lot of money to do that. And that's kind of money you could invest it and compound it over time in just a simple index fund. So stocks can be a way, but you've got to be very knowledgeable in these ways. But if you've got a stock, you probably have to stick with it and stop tinkering. I did that in the early days. I tinkered. I got Investors Chronicle that said, "Oh, buy this, buy that. It's going to be a good bet." And within about 20 days, I was like, "Oh, why is it not going up or down and all the rest of it?" And it's like, no, these are long-term holds.
And you need to have the patience.
Be patient. And I just sold everything. I'm just like, oh, it just does my head in. Whereas index fund, out of the way, you just put money in every month into that fund. You never ever see it really. You don't really keep an eye on it. Now and again, you'll maybe look at the balance and go, "Oh my God, it's that much." But then you realise it's like if that then accumulates with another 10% the next year, it's like that's another 10 grand.
Yeah.
If you're at 100 grand, I mean that's what the kids are like. It's like if there's another 10% accumulation next year, you get another 10 grand for doing what?
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Just simply waiting to be rich.
Yeah.
God. So definitely in property, the cash flow and the appreciation that you get from that. Cash flow is the most important thing for me in property. The appreciation is a secondary thing. It always comes anyway over the long term.
Yep.
You know, whether you like it or not, whether you think that's attractive or not. Don't get into property to appreciate assets. Get into property to earn income from.
The cash flow, yeah.
And then you could reinvest it all the time if you want. That's the most important thing. Focus on the income it generates first. Then the appreciation will come as a natural byproduct.
And as you reinvest, you acquire more assets. And as you build assets and more assets, that's when you start to become in a wealthy position.
So core principles, start early.
Yep.
Stay consistent.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got to think about the long term. Guys are good at this because guys are good long-term thinkers. That's how they think. That's just how they're hardwired.
Yeah.
Definitely. And it's like from small acorns grow great oak trees. And how long does it take for an oak tree to grow out a small acorn? And that's kind of how you've got with your investments. You start off with a wee acorn, and you maybe start off with a lot of them. If you spread it around, it's the same with property. If you spread a lot, some will make a bit more than others in property. And then the oak trees or the orange trees or something like that. Think about an orange tree, and then you get the orange, and then all the oranges grow, and then they all drop to the ground. Do you leave them for more oranges to grow with the seeds that are in them, for more trees to grow, or do you eat them and then that's the end of it? And for me, it's like no, you leave them to grow more. That's how I would look at it. Yeah, it's just the same growth over time.
Yeah. Compounding, you're absolutely right, and it's how these small investments grow significantly over that period of time.
In your opinion, what's the hidden barriers to investment success?
Yeah, I mean, this is quite interesting, actually, and I like this section, and I was waiting until we got to it because I put a few things in here. And there are a lot of things that, if we delve a wee bit deeper into these invisible limits, and it's kind of common barriers or blocks.
Yeah.
And it's waiting for the right time to do something, trying to maybe perfect something, or waiting, it's not quite, I find myself guilty of doing that, and I can see you smiling because you know that I do that. And overthinking as well, that's a really big one, the analysis paralysis thing. And you're smiling again because I do that as well. And these are things that, I do it, you've probably done it yourself in the past, Jim, and a lot of people will do it, and these are really for me, invisible limits that could really hold you back if you don't actually realise you're doing them.
And fear of value dropping.
Yep.
And it's like, well, the value only drops if you sell it or you realise the asset. It's still earning the same amount of money. If you've got a property, this is what I love about property. If property was 100,000, right, and suddenly overnight 50% of that value is wiped off, then you probably find that some tenants then would go, okay, I'm going to buy my own house because they're now affordable because 50% of what they were. But some tenants will go, no, I'm still going to continue to rent. They're not going to turn around and say they want cheaper rent. They're not going to them, it's still the same house. They're still paying for the same value as they got before. So you're still earning the same money out of that. So that's how I see it. And that's how I've always had it. It's never been a case that when values dropped, even in the credit crunch, that your rent went down. It doesn't. And it's the same with commercial property. That's like that as well. You know, you've got locked in full tenant repair and insurance leases, and they're like 5-year breakout, 10-year breakout, 15-year breakout. So that's when you can get out of it. But it's also at the 5-year and 10-year and 15-year. If you continue to have it, then it gets reassessed for its for the rent again, and they've got them written into it where it only goes up if it is, but it won't go down if the market's dropped. So therefore, the person's still locked into it unless they end the tenancy and move out of the property. But when you're renting to maybe blue chip companies like Starbucks and that, because you've maybe built the thing for them and they're your tenant, they're not going to turn around and say, well, we'll move out because we're not getting £2,000 off it every year. Because it's like they've just ruined their business then, because that's where everybody knows they are. And they've built a huge following into that
location and things,
Yeah, so it's a fear overall, and it's you need to reframe it, I think.
Yeah, definitely reframe it. And like I say, about the waiting on the right time. There's no perfect time. I think it's the time that you're in the market. Do you know that? And I think the time is kind of now, or as you would say, the time's probably yesterday.
Yeah, the time was yesterday, but it's today. As the second best time to invest. And even if you think historically, it's like, oh my God, because there is in the news right now, and this is hopefully this is evergreen content, but at this point in time, this is date stamped. In the news right now, there's the Bank of England saying they think the stock market's overvalued.
Yeah.
Who cares? If you're going to invest in the stock market for the next, or an index fund in the stock market for the next 20, maybe 30 years, it's not going to be the same value it is now. It's more than likely going to be significantly more, because the value of companies grow over time, simply because the value of the goods and services grow over time, so the profits grow over time, therefore the value of the company grows over time.
Yeah, so it's inevitable that over time it will increase. It might take a dip and it might go up and down and things, but if you're in it for the long haul, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, at the end, it's pretty much so that's the way the capitalist system works. But you have to spread your risk. That's what the whole thing is. So probably the factor of this, probably the most important saying I would say of this is consistency beats perfection every time.
Yeah.
Consistency beats perfection every time.
So I think, in my opinion, if you're consistently doing something all the time, and if it's not perfect every time, but you're consistently doing it, you're going to get somewhere.
Yeah. Done is better than perfect.
Yeah. I was waiting when you saying that.
Just get on with it. Just start. Just get on with it. So this is so you can make this actionable.
Yeah.
By a 3-step plan. So what 3-step plan should we be looking at?
Yeah, I mean, based on what we've been covering today, I think that's the 3-step plan would start. Firstly, look at how to increase your income. Do you know, and identify maybe one immediate opportunity where you think, I could increase my income here, and run with that. Do you know, whether that's requalifying yourself within your job to get a better salary, or do you know, something like that. Think about it, like, I could do that. We'll do it and get that extra income.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's definitely the way to go. It's like,
and then
I knew straight away the side hustle was going to be property. And everybody, there was other people that started at the same time as me, by the way, who are not don't have as big a portfolio or bigger wealth, because they then got sidetracked by other side hustles.
Yeah.
The shiny penny. It's like, the gymnasium market's growing. It's like, let's get into that. Oh, this market's growing. Let's get into that. Oh, and it's like, and I'm like, no, I do what I do extremely
This is
well.
working. I'm going to stick to it.
If not, I'm probably the top 1% of people in the country that actually do it that well. It pays well as a result, and that's what I mean. So, you know, just get started with one. Don't listen to all these gurus out there that tell you diversify your income, do a number, because it's the old thing about a jack of all trades is a master of none.
Yeah.
And we all know the people that make the most money in a particular field are usually the top 1% people who are the experts in that field. Everybody else makes less. Actors, classic example. You've got all the high-profile actors, Jennifer Lawrence and people like that. They make huge sums of money. But the people that are on set with them are just on a salary.
They're on like 15, 20 million a movie and things. It's
and the person that acts beside them and helping them out and supporting them and all the rest of it is significantly less.
Yeah, they could be in the hundreds of thousands.
So that's
which is still a lot of money, but in comparison, I know what you mean.
So what's the second one then?
Yeah, increase your income, obviously, like I say, identify that area to do that. Then that'll allow you to then number 2, which is start investing. And then you could begin with being quite consistent and investing manageable amounts from your increased income.
Yeah, definitely.
And then eventually, when you get to the point which is number 3, you can start to automate that growth and remove the reliance of possibly your involvement and really pick up the motivation of that.
Well, you know how you automate the growth for investing? It's called a standing order or direct debit.
Yeah.
That's it. It's as simple as that.
And it just comes straight out. You never see it. You don't think about it.
We're about May time. People have got a salary increase. What did you do with it? Did you think, what could I spend it on? Or did you say, I tell you what, I'll just take that amount now, I've got the salary increase, and I'll put it into a fund for my future? Because I never had it in the first place. Somebody gave me it just the other now, so I'll just put that in. And then you think about it and you go to yourself, well, it wasn't that much, but I tell you what,
over time it will be.
Compounded over time, it'll be a huge number in comparison to what it was. And then you do that the next year, and the next year, and the next year, and everybody goes, but your standard of living will drop. And it's like, what you do is you don't actually realise that's dropping. You just start to live within your means quite comfortably.
Yeah.
But what happens? What happens if I die tomorrow? It's like, if you die tomorrow, you'll never bother you. You'll be dead. You'll not come back and go, I was pretty miffed about that. And you'll not be going to a gate and going, God will go. It's like, well, how did you get on? It's like, oh, I'm really pissed at the fact that I died before I got to spend my wealth. It's like, you won't. And that's it. So automate it. Automation builds that discipline, and the discipline builds the wealth over time. You don't need more time. You need a system.
Yeah, and ultimately that system would create more time.
Okay, let's finish off then.
Yeah, okay. I mean, to kind of round up and obviously, kind of how to break through these invisible limits and bring it back full circle for what we spoke about today. These invisible limits only exist until you actually recognize them. If you've picked up, there's a few of my own invisible limits, but I now know that I do them. And I really need to learn to drop them. And everybody's got their own. So you really need to think about what they are and recognize them and stop doing them. Stop letting them hold you back. If it's habits or whatever they may be. And just to reinforce that, wealth is accessible to everyone, but it requires your own awareness and your own actual action to start that. And that's what I think people, the invisible thing that holds them back, they don't realise, or they don't have that, like you said earlier, they don't have the faith in themselves or the belief in themselves to actually take action and build their own wealth or start to build their own wealth. Yeah. That's a big barrier.
And for me personally, it's like this delay thing. Every day you delay, you're delaying your compounding for your financial future. It's the 31 pence doubled up. It's the 1 pence doubled up for 31 days. Day one, you are losing 5.5 million by delaying day one of a 1 pence doubled up for 31 days. And if you're sitting scratching your head thinking, what does that mean? Contact us and we'll tell you.
Yeah. I think the next time that you feel yourself saying, I'll do that later or I'll do it tomorrow, think about why you're saying that and think about the effects of it. Because if you break through these invisible limits, you will change your income and you'll change your entire financial future ultimately. So
it's whether you believe it or no, that's the problem.
Yeah, that's the key.
Okay.
Right, let's leave that there. Thanks for that, Jim. Thanks for everybody tuning in. We will, of course, be back next week for the Wealth Creation Show as normal, and we will see you then. And I'll leave it there.
Bye for now.
Thanks, Jim.